Zen Buddhism and Nestorianism. The origin of Zen Buddhism. Jesus intended to transfer to us, God itself, or the Holy Spirit, which could not be expressed in words and letters. In other words, he wanted to baptize us with the Holy Spirit. The baptism of the Holy Spirit, which had been transmitted to India by one of the 12, Didymus Thomas, who is honored as the twin of Jesus. Both Didymus and Thomas mean twin in Greek and in Aramaic, respectively. Was brought into the tradition of aphoristic teaching of Zen Buddhism, and then sublimated into riddle-like koans. The Original Jesus, Buddhist Sources of Christianity, by Elmer R. Gruber and Holger Kirsten. Mo Wangxiang, Stop Your Deluded Thought. There was a Zen monk who held up Mo Wangxiang, Stop Your Deluded Thought, as the sole banner of his school, and became famous during Tang Dynasty of China. Whenever he received questions from students, would reply by saying, "Do not have deluded thoughts." And in his later years, he received an imperial order from the 15th Emperor Muzong and lived in Fenzhou of Shaanxi province, and was known as the Zen Master Fenzhou Wuye. At the age of 9, this man received the Mahayana Sutra from Zen Master Jiben of Kayuansai Temple, memorized the 5-element theory thoroughly, shaved his head at the age of 12, and at the age of 20, he received the precepts under Buddhist discipliner Yu of Xiangzhou, and studied Saifanlshu, and then taught the Nirvana Sutra to monks. Thus, he appears to have been an excellent person, who was well versed in Buddhist studies in his youth. There was a Zen master, called Ma Zu Daoyi, who had established Hongzhou School, one of major sects of the Zen Buddhism, based at the Kainsai Temple, in Hongzhou of Jiangxi province in China at that time. He emphasized everyday life itself, then studying scriptures or meditation, and taught students, using extraordinary actions and tactics, suited to each occasion. He is also known, with his many wise remarks, such as, "The ordinary mind is the way, each mind is a living Buddha, actions are Buddha nature," and so on. Therefore, young Wuye also decided to visit Zen Master Ma Zu Daoyi. Seeing this young man's dignified appearance, and hearing his voice, sounding like a big temple bell, Matsu said, "The Buddha hall is magnificent, but there is no Buddha inside." The young man knelt down, and asked honestly, "Although I have studied the literature of the 3 vehicle sutras, that is, vehicle of the hearers, vehicle of the Pratyabuddhitas, and vehicle of the Bodhisattvas, and have heard the Zen teaching of, immediate mind is the Buddha, I still do not understand it." Then Ma Zu replied, "That's what you said, I still don't understand. There's nothing else." The young man then asked again, "What is the mind seal that Bodhidharma came to the West and handed down to us?" Ma Zu said, "Hey, guy of great virtue, you are little annoying. Just leave it at that for today, and come again." When the young man was about to leave, Ma Zu abruptly called out to him, in a loud voice, "Oi, great virtue." When the young man turned around, he yelled, "What are you doing?" When the young man suddenly realized this, and prayed, Ma Zu chided him, saying, "What are you doing at this hour, you idiot?" Zen Master Yunju, holding his staff, says, "What is it about Fenzhou that is so noisy?" Jingde Chuanding Lu, Volume 28. Yunju Daoying, who is said to have been the head of disciples of Dongshan Liangjia, the founder of the Chaodong school of Zen Buddhism, gave advice to each scholar who participated in Zazen with this koan, while shaking his cane, and said, "Now, tell me, what is bothersome about Fenzhou?" Actions are Buddha nature. From the beginning, above the causes of the enlightenment, of Zen Master Wuye, has been used, as a koan, for Zhuiyong Ji Xing, actions are Buddha nature. Zhuiyong means action, that is, human activity, or the very existence of human beings, is Buddha nature. The characteristic of Mazu Zen was that it did not make people understand his Zen style, that is, extraordinary actions and tactics suited to each occasion as ideals, but rather made them realize them as living facts in their own lives, through questions and answers. He called this principle Zhuiyong Ji Xing. Actions are Buddha nature. According to Professor Takashi Ogawa of Kamizawa University, question and answer sessions in the Tang Dynasty were a one-off incident that occurred naturally during the life of an ascetic. In the Song Dynasty, the records of the questions and answers of our predecessors were selected and compiled as classics shared by the Zen school, and these were given to monks in training as subjects for their training. The records of the questions and answers of our predecessors that came to be used in this way are called koans. During the Song Dynasty, the standardization of koans as teaching materials and teaching methods progressed. The methods of studying koan chan be roughly divided into two types, Wenzi chan and Kanhua chan. Wenzi chan attempts to clarify Zen by making full use of the knowledge of classical poetry and writing short comments on the koan, composing the purpose of the koan in poems and adding commentary in prose. On the other hand, Kanhua-chan refers to huatu, that is, watching the koan, but specifically, it involves focusing one's whole body and soul on one koan, pushing one's consciousness to the limit and reaching its peak. This means that one can experience an absolute great enlightenment by causing an explosive attack on one's mind. Excerpt from Professor Takashi Ogawa's article, From Tang Dynasty Zen to Song Dynasty Zen, Mazu and Dahue, published in Kamizawa University, Zen Research Institute, Annual Report, No. 32. December 2020. Origin of Koan. So, why did the records of the questions and answers of Zen's predecessors come to be called koans, court cases? This seems to be deeply related to the doctrine of the last day, that is, final judgment, preached by Nestorians. The Greek word parakletos, in the chapter 15 verse 26 of the Gospel of John. When the Counselor comes, whom I will send to you, from the Father, the Spirit of truth, who goes out from the Father, he will testify about me. Is translated to Comforter, Counselor, and Advocate, in the English Bibles, that is the King James Version, the New International Version, and the New Living Translation respectively. The hard work for each translator can be seen there. The original text of Q source, that the author of the Gospel of John referred to here, should be the following description of verse 88 of the Gospel of Thomas. Jesus said, "The messengers and the prophets will come to you, and give you what belongs to you. You, in turn, give them what you have, and say to yourselves, when will they come, and take what belongs to them?" Gospel of Thomas verse 88. That is to say, what the Spirit of Truth will give to us, has belonged to us from the beginning. Therefore, when we are baptized, also depends on ourselves, or when we are prepared. In other words, when we have discovered that we have been one with God from the beginning, we will be baptized with the Holy Spirit. The fusion of Bodhidharma and Nestorianism. Zen Buddhism was brought to China by Bodhidharma from India during the Northern and Southern Dynasties period, and it merged with Nestorian Christianity, which penetrated into China around the same time, and seems to have exploded into popularity during the Tang Dynasty. In 635 AD, Alopen, Abraham, led 21 Jingjiao followers, headed to China, and met Emperor Taizong of the Tang Dynasty, and presented a Chinese translation of the Bible. Then, Jingjiao was officially authorized to propagate in China. These facts are recorded on Daqin Jingjiao Popular Chinese Monument, Nestorian stele, which was discovered in Xi'an, in the 17th century, by the Society of Jesus, Jesuits. However, this is an official record, and it appears that the Jingjiao followers had been preaching in China before then. Kukai's friendship with the Nestorians. In 804, Kukai, the founder of Japanese esoteric Shingon school of Buddhism, took part in a government-sponsored expedition to China. The court of Tang Dynasty granted Kukai a place in Shiming Temple in 805. After that, Kukai studied Shingon esoteric Buddhism from Qinglong Monastery's seventh ancestor, Huiguo, and was recognized as the eighth ancestor of the Shingon sect. Kukai learned Sanskrit from Panrua Sanzang, a friend of Jingjing, who was the author of the inscription of Nestorian stele. Therefore, Kukai seems to have had friendships with Jingjing and other Jingjiao followers, such as Isi, Isaac, who were active in Chang'an at that time. For this reason, there is the imitation monument of Nestorian stele, given by Mrs. Elizabeth Anna Gordon, a Jingjiao researcher, to Mtikoya, the headquarters of Japanese esoteric Shingon school, in Wakayama Prefecture. Shizuen Bushi Luan, and the Sermon on the Mount. The contents of the third volume of Shizuen Bushi Luan. The Lord of the Universe's Discourse on Almsgiving. Owned by Kyoto, Nishihan Ganji Temple, almost corresponds to the Sermon on the Mount, in a Chinese translation of the Gospel of Matthew, which was written by Jingjiao followers, and a part of Adam's birth story is also seen there. Therefore, baptism with the Holy Spirit of Thomas, who is said to have been the twin brother of Jesus, seems to have been fused with Mahayana Buddhism and Taoism after he had brought it to India and China, where these tide of thought were emerging at that time, and to have contributed to the flourishing of Pure Land Buddhism and Zen culture, as well as birth of Islam. An anecdote about the birth of Zen Master Wuye. By the way, at the beginning of Jingde Chuanding Lu, Part 28, it has an introduction, reminiscent of the New Testament's Annunciation. It says, "One night, a girl from the Li family, in Shanglua, Shangzhou City, Shaanxi Province, heard a voice, in the air, asking if I could stay there. She found out that she was pregnant. After 10 days and 10 months, the birthing house was filled with divine light, and the girl gave birth to a boy. As soon as this boy, whose common name was Dusher, was able to crawl, he sat on lotus position and meditated." Zen Buddhism and Nestorianism, the baptism with the Holy Spirit and Dharma's mind seal.